Susan Dixon, who are you with?
I'm here with my husband, Mark, and one of our homeowners from Deer Park, Dave Driscoll.
Okay. And then I see Irene Foley, who
Yes,
introduced
I'm
herself.
here.
Paul, and is it Susan?
Nancy?
Sorry,
Nancy.
Paul and
Yes.
Nancy.
Nancy
Cunning.
Cunning.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, Cynthia is, I don't know who that is.
Unmute. Cindy Lloyd.
Cindy Lloyd. Oh, okay, Cindy.
Yep.
Hi. Thanks
Hi.
for joining us. All right, I see John and Brescia. I see David, and I don't know who that is. Ron, can you unmute him and just ask him to introduce himself?
I tried. He's muted himself.
David, can you unmute? There you go. David, can you introduce yourself?
He can. He doesn't seem to hear. I don't know. Imagine.
All right. And then I have W.
That's Dave Bowden that's on. He has no microphone.
Okay.
So he's just listening.
Okay, that's fine. Just as long as we know who it is. And who is Mr. W. Lever?
Yes, it's a Bill Lever, 16 Crooked Mountain Road, town resident.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So welcome aboard, everyone. Our first order of business tonight is to look at the minutes from the last meeting.
Several sets.
I know we have several to do. Let's do that one first. And I just had them up on my computer and lost them. Did anyone have any?
The May 18th you're looking at?
Sure.
Okay.
All righty. May 18th.
I had a couple of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. And mine didn't print with numbers, but I don't have numbered lines. Riverfront Park. And I can't even tell you where it is. It's about a little better than halfway down, where Ham requested that Kalex Environmental conducted the original site assessment. Ham requested that if another site assessment needs to be done, then Kalex Environmental should be brought back into.
Okay, yeah, I see that. That's line 70.
So Jane, Leslie, I'll say it again for you. Ham requested that if another site assessment needs to be done, then Kalex Environmental, and then continue with the sentence.
Okay.
And then on the next page, there was a comment question about the Common Man restaurant, and in the response, the second line, while assisting with instead of setup, can we say configuration? That makes it sound like the chiefs are setting up for them. So while assisting with the configuration of outdoor seating, etc. And then on the next, are you guys okay with that? Do you see it?
Yep.
And then the next line, police and fire chief to help individual restaurants ensure the safety of all outdoor seating. Because it's up to the restaurants, not our chiefs, to ensure the safety. So the chief to help individual restaurants ensure the safety of all outdoor seating.
Okay, that's line 163 and 164, Jane?
Okay, thank you. So let me get there.
Yep.
Okay, you get there, tell me when, and I'll say it again.
Go ahead.
So chief to help individual restaurants ensure the safety of all outdoor seating.
Okay.
And then the very next line, it says, but he is allowing, it should say, but it is allowed under the emergency orders. Because it's not Chief Morris allowing it, it's the governor. So, but it is allowed under the emergency orders. Jane Leslie, tell me when you're good.
It is in there.
That might be it, actually. Yeah, that's it.
I had one,
Go ahead, Jane.
if I could. On line 308, Timmy, it's page 7, second paragraph, fourth line down.
Under what heading?
Um,
Trash cans.
Turn around and then turn the page over to 7. You'll see it. Second paragraph, Chairman Robinson, it starts with, responded. Got it?
The proposed expansion of parking?
Nope, trash cans.
Trash cans readily available.
Paragraph right before the
Oh,
proposed.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
All righty. I'm just going to change what I said because I didn't say other towns. I said this town. Well, that's what I meant. I hope I said that. And Ludwig added, if you could change it, Jane, and the board agrees. Ludwig added that Lincoln has dealt with various issues such as public dumping waste, as well as attracting bears into the town. I talked about well, it was 28 years ago or more, that the rubbish left out is a bear ordinance issue, and there were bears coming down. So we've since got rid of that because there's not that many dumpsters. Does that make sense, Jane, what I said?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Jane, anything else?
Yeah, what's this? No, that looks good.
I'll make a motion to accept the public meeting minutes of May 18th as amended.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes of May 18th as presented.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. That's good. And then we want to go to May 11th.
Uh-huh.
I had nothing.
I had nothing.
I had nothing.
I'll make a motion to accept the May 11th meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes of May 11th as presented.
Wait a minute, didn't you just do those? No?
No, I did the non-public of the 18th.
This is for the 11th.
Okay. I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Now we have the May 7th joint board meeting minutes. And I had nothing.
I honestly did not know that that was coming and didn't read them.
OJ.
For some reason, I thought we had already done those and forgot
Okay.
that was the joint meeting.
Next week.
I'll trust you, to be honest. If you read them.
I think they're good. Jane, did you have any corrections on them?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Make a motion, we accept the May 7th joint public meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jane Leslie, thank you. Those were awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jane. All right, the next thing on the agenda is to discuss the request for abatements for the condos at the Deer Park development. We received a letter. I was going to pull that up. And I didn't know if who wanted to speak first for this. I didn't know if you wanted to read the letter or just speak in your own words.
With the trustees.
Yeah.
address it.
Well, what are the trustees there? Sue Dixon? Is she
Yeah, I
there?
know that, I guess you're talking to me. It's the letter attached to the abatement form. Is that the letter you're talking about?
I think the one that most recently came in was from Nancy Cunning on May
Yes, that's
23rd.
correct. Yes.
Oh,
But the three trustees are here, so since they're ahead our board, I would like them to address this.
okay. Well, I can explain what we did.
Sure, go ahead, Susan.
We became, Irene, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we don't see your picture, but I
No.
assume you're there. So we heard from Irene, who found out that the Lincoln Water is actually paid out of our property tax bill, or should, for most residents. And yet those of us that live here in these 8 particular units in Deer Park have been paying water from Woodstock for, since the inception of the development. Myself, I've only been here for 11 years, but some people have been here 30 years. And so we were concerned about that, and Irene went down to Town Hall and to Woodstock Town Hall and all over town a couple of times and was finally told to fill out the abatement form. So I did that along with a letter explaining our situation for these 8 units that happened to were practically on the property line between Lincoln and Woodstock. So I wrote up a letter explaining, and then I just got a denied letter back that saying your appeal for abatement has been denied because the water is not part of the assessing components of the house. Well, I wasn't really looking for a change in my assessment. I was looking to see if there's some way we could either be, compensated the fact that we can't get water from Lincoln here, like a lower tax rate, or if somehow the town could assume the cost of our water, because it does seem unfair to us that we're paying our taxes. For us, it's over $6,000 a year, and our water would be included if we just happened to live in a different location. And so we're paying for other people's water, and then we're paying again for our water from Woodstock. So we were looking for some kind of relief on that.
And I just want to clarify, are we're also paying for the sewer? Are we also in Woodstock? Are we paying for the sewer in Lincoln also?
The operating budgets for both the water department and the sewer department are included in the general budget for the town of Lincoln. So the taxes that people pay go to pay for the full budget of the town, which includes the water and the sewer, and then all the other stuff, police, fire, recreation, et cetera.
Mhm.
So all of that is included in the budget. Just maybe to make sure we understand what the tax rate is based on, the assessment of the property, which is supposed to be the best guess of the market value of each property. So that is why your abatement request was denied, that there was no evidence that whatever your property is assessed at is not, for some reason, the fair market value. So that's what the...
Yeah, I understand that. It's just that we were told that the right form to use would be the abatement form. So that aside, we still feel like we have an issue here.
Correct. Okay. So I just want to make sure that everyone understood that's how the assessment works, and so that's why it was denied. So to get on to your real issue isn't the abatement. It's the paying of taxes for services that you don't receive, and then also have to pay Woodstock for those same services.
Right.
That is a certainly a complicated issue, but not uncommon, in that there are lots of people here in Lincoln, and then certainly lots of people in many other towns that pay for services that are not available to them. I think here in Lincoln, probably the best example of that is at Deer Park. You also pay to plow all your own roads and repair them and maintain them and drainage and all of that through your homeowner's fees. Whereas like myself, I don't have to pay that. I live on a town road. The town plows my road. The town fixes my road. The town takes care of my drainage. And that's something we don't reimburse to people who live in homeowners associations that take care of roads. And it's the same thing with water. It's the same thing with sewer. We have numerous houses in Lincoln that are not on the town sewer. We're one of the few towns that have near universal water and sewer to almost every lot in town. Not everyone, but almost everyone. Our coverage ratio is much, much higher than normal. With that being said, there still are people that do not hook up to the town sewer. They have to have private septic systems. They have to maintain them on their own. They have to pump them supposedly annually. And they don't get reimbursed for that either. Theoretically, that's reflected in the value of your property. You know, that if your homeowner's monthly fee doubled, people might pay less for the condos that you own. And on the other hand, if your homeowner's fees went away because the town, you know, supplied road plowing and everything else, your condos might be worth more. But that's sort of the theory behind it, that is taken into account by a theoretical buyer when looking at what a fair market rate is for any property in town. If it has homeowner fees, that certainly affects the value. So this is a typical situation, just that there are fees. And again, I think road plowing is the most common one here in Lincoln, that many of our properties are on private roads that the town does not plow and does not maintain, yet they pay for the roads and streets budget. So is that helpful? Or are there any other questions?
Well, I don't know if the example is that helpful, because we know we're on a private road, but we still get public water. So that's odd to me, you know, that example doesn't exactly fit. It's just we have to pay because Woodstock meters and charges for their water.
Right, and we don't pay Woodstock for our roads plowing either, so it's a little different.
Yeah. I tried to research the history of that a bit, and I guess when they were building it, someone said it was okay to do it and hook you up to Woodstock water to make it easier. You know, I get I know where you're coming from. I get it. I'm a taxpayer too. But I look at it, we've been talking a lot, if you've been following us, about actually getting meters in, water meters. Because we need more income regarding water and sewer, because Lincoln is becoming bigger, as you all know, and more things are being built. So I always thought of my taxes as just being taxes based on the assessment, and almost like a free water, because there's a meter out here they put in years ago that they never even turned on. But at some point, the town is going to, unfortunately, I think, it depends upon what you residents think, the Lincoln residents are going to have to put in meters. Now, at that point, I wouldn't think you'd have to pay for Lincoln meters and Woodstock meters. You know, that wouldn't be fair at all. I could get that.
Well, we couldn't get a Lincoln meter because you don't have a water line here. To put it.
Right. So, that part's going to be coming up eventually, I would think, at some point. We're all going to have meters and pay for water. I don't see myself as really paying for all the water I use, quite honestly, based on my assessment.
Well, that's because you're getting it for free, and we're not, you know, so we see it.
No, they're paying the same assessment as you. My house is valued the same way your house is valued, or anyone else.
I'm not getting the water and you are. That's the difference.
You're not the only residents in town that are not getting town water and being charged for it. You're also not the only ones that are not using town sewer and being charged for it. Same way as I don't have any kids in school yet, I still have to pay the school tax, and so do the other tax owners. All the same thing. Your home is not assessed on the fact that you get town water or don't get. It is assessed on the fact that you don't get town water or sewer. So
I understand what you're saying, but you're not paying school tax for another town, just Lincoln, right?
Lincoln and Woodstock. It's a Linwood school.
It's a joint school.
It's a corporate school, yes, sir.
Just if I can, I understand you're seeing a difference because you're paying Woodstock for the water versus you're paying your homeowners association to plow the roads. If neither town supplied Deer Park with water, you would have a water system in there with whatever wells and piping and pumps, and you'd be paying your homeowners association for it. I guess the fact is that it doesn't matter who you're paying for that water. You're not paying, the town of Lincoln is not supplying that water. just as we don't supply, some properties with sewer, we don't supply some properties with road maintenance. We're not supplying Deer Park properties with water. You have to pay for that water, and the, I guess, most convenient, least expensive entity to purchase that water from is the town of Woodstock. But either way, the town could not go through and say, okay, we're going to reduce taxes here because they don't get water, and taxes here because they don't get sewer, and taxes here because we don't plow their roads or maintain them. It has to be done on a market value or assessed value formula. And I mean, it's how the whole state does it.
Why doesn't the value why doesn't that get worked into the assessment model that we don't have access to those resources?
Well, technically, the assessed value is supposed to be the market value of your property, okay? And my guess is when a buyer comes to look at, let's say, Susan, you put up your property up for sale, okay? If you put that up for sale today and there's a price, I don't even know what the price is, but let's call it $300,000. If your homeowners association fees double, I as a buyer might not want to pay $300,000 for it. I'm going to pay less because I know that those homeowner association fees are higher than they would be if they stayed the same. In the same way, if they dropped, I might be willing to pay more because there's more value because of a low homeowners association fees. So that is taken into account through the fair market value of the property, is certainly affected by what your homeowners association fees are.
That's true when I buy or sell, but it doesn't help my tax bill while I live here.
Again, it's the assessed value is supposed to be the fair market value.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know. So Dave, does it sound legally sound to you?
He's talking to you. He's talking to him.
Dave Driscoll?
Yeah, what's the question, Paul?
Does this sound like it's a legally acceptable arrangement?
I'm listening to it all, and I can understand the town's position on this. I think they gave some pretty good examples. So that's my assessment of it. You as homeowners may not like that, but.
Butch, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, since this issue arose, I've tried to do some checking because that complex I believe was developed back in the late 60s, early 70s. I believe I can't, but anyway.
Mid-80s.
It was in the 80s.
What was that? Okay,
Mid-80s.
a lot of years ago. But the best I can tell, and I don't have the paperwork, but the developer at the time, the eight units, I think it's 2 buildings that were in Lincoln, the cost was prohibitive, and I'm not even sure the town was excited to run lines, both sewer and water, to just them 2 buildings. And the developer at the time decided to hook on to Woodstock. That's how it started. It was an economical, and that's the most I can, and that's all been word of mouth. I don't have paperwork.
I was just going to say that we don't have any documentation.
No, it would be probably anything on that would be in Woodstock,
Right.
the development agreement and how that went. But talking to folks that were around and participated, the cost would have been prohibitive to go from there to our water system. It would still be expensive today, to be honest. But and that's just putting that in the mix. But I think the examples that OJ and y'all have given is perfect. It's just the way it unfolded.
Right.
You know, the properties are on our tax rate, which is, a very attractive tax rate right at the moment. Hopefully it stays that way. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
So we don't really know if it was prohibited. We don't even know if they talked about it.
I don't think it was prohibited. It was just
correct. Yeah.
expensive. And
All right.
Stock's water was right there, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Dave, thank you for your comments.
Well,
Well, isn't it a case of you've got a certain amount of money that you've got to raise? And I guess the other example that you gave is that there could be, there could be other people in town, in Lincoln, that do not have access to sewerage. And they pay a prorated amount based upon the valuation of their property. Is that a fair statement?
No, the places that do not have sewer have to have their own septic system on their property. And again, they pay whatever the assessed value is of their property.
Yeah.
If their house is valued at $500,000, they pay taxes on the $500,000. There's no adjustment because they do or don't have sewer.
Yeah.
Not in the model.
okay, well,
All right. Well,
All right, well, I thank you for bringing your concerns to us. You might not
you.
like the answer, but it's the straightforward answer. And again, it affects many people in the town beyond you as far as not necessarily water, but certainly sewer and certainly roads and streets.
well, there is no arrangement that Lincoln can make with Woodstock, and to ask them somehow to adjust this situation?
No more than we could make a deal with a homeowners association to adjust anything for roads or hire a septic company to pump all the private septic tanks in town. We can't do that, no.
this is Dave Driscoll again. Can an argument be made that that the amount that we pay to North Woodstock should somehow come off of our Lincoln tax bill?
Again, we cannot do that. It's based on the assessed value of your property, regardless of whether you pay, water fees to someone else or plowing fees to someone else or sewer septic pumping fees to someone else. We can't make those types of adjustments.
I think, Paul, that's what you're saying, basically. You'd like to see the amount that you pay to North Woodstock come off of your Lincoln tax bill.
That would work,
Yeah. Well, I think they've given us the answer.
yeah.
I just have one thing to add.
Sure.
I thought it was very interesting when I went to City Hall that the fact that this water is included in your tax bill was way back when the town was incorporated. This is the way they did it. And I don't know when it was incorporated, probably hundreds of years ago. And the water bill was included in your taxes. So it's been around for a long time.
Well,
Yeah, and that's certainly a unique situation. It's not typical, and the town has had numerous discussions on the possibility of charging for water.
Meters, we have at length, and we haven't ended that conversation either. So
I don't think it will ever end.
it doesn't draw enough.
The conversation will be to go back to not charging. Seriously, it's been a long time.
well, maybe somebody will come up with a brilliant solution in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you all for taking the time to meet with us.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate the input.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't want to stay on too long, but I know coming up is the 4th of July parade. Is there going to be a 4th of July parade?
We're going to discuss that next on the agenda.
Do I have to sit and wait for that?
It probably won't be too long, but yeah, you do, because I don't know.
Okay,
can't
well,
give you an
maybe I will, because I love the
discuss it.
parade.
And there won't be any decision until tomorrow night when we meet with
Right.
both boards.
We're meeting with
If
both
we're
boards
moving
tomorrow.
on to that, I'd like to propose that we not have that discussion and wait and discuss it with the joint board tomorrow night.
I second that.
Great.
Okay.
No offense to you folks, you're more than happy to join in, but we'd repeating anything. We don't know. It's up in the air at this point whether they're going to have a parade or fireworks. It's something we have to discuss with Woodstock tomorrow night. So I
Yeah,
would,
it's definitely something we do jointly with Woodstock, so we don't want to make that decision without their input. Their meeting is tomorrow night at 5 o'clock via Zoom as well, and I know that their info to get into the meeting is posted on their website.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, so Jane, you made a motion and Tammy seconded to postpone the discussion on this until tomorrow night?
Tomorrow
Yeah.
night's joint board of selectmen meeting, yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll move on from that. Next on the agenda is discussion of the first come, first served policy of water and sewer allotments. I want to get this up so I can read it correctly. There's been discussion with our town council over our current policy of allotting water and sewer rights to developers, which is first come, first serve. In other words, whoever is ready to build can look at what we have available for water and sewer supply, and we base the availability of water and sewer on what's currently being used. We have certainly been challenged on that with the South Peak development, where they have reached what they consider to be a vested project. In other words, they have built and spent enough money on the project that it becomes vested. In other words, they now have a right to finish that project as approved, without going back to planning board or asking for, each subdivision still needs final approval, but the master plan, the town approved back in 2006, I believe it was. Anyway, that challenge has, as you know, been discussed, and we had a conversation with Peter Mallier, a town attorney, on that. And, I want to reconsider that through his advice, and I will make the following motion. I'm going to make motion to amend the town of Lincoln first come, first serve approach to water and sewer allocations to the following. Water and sewer allocations will be allotted on a first come, first serve basis only after all allocation for incomplete but vested projects are reserved. The developer of any proposed project will have to show that there is adequate water and sewer available after the projected allocations of all vested projects have been considered. This revised policy will go into effect on June 1st, 2020, that's today. Any projects that have been approved or have made application prior to June 1st, 2020 will be treated according to the previously adopted first come, first served basis that does not require the consideration of incomplete vested projects. The following are considered to be incomplete but vested projects as of June 1st, 2020. The Landing, Riverwalk, Forest Ridge, Coolidge Falls, and South Peak Resort.
I'll second your motion. And OJ, can you send that to Jane Leslie for the minute so she can just copy and paste?
I'm doing that right now.
Thank you.
You make a motion, OJ?
He did, and I seconded.
Okay.
So, any discussion on that?
No, I've read it and researched it, and I'm good with it.
Okay, I mean, it's going to be controversial, just so we know. It was controversial the way it was. It's going to be controversial now. There are people that can fight for both sides of this.
That's okay. I'll just tell everybody it was your idea.
That's fine. Blame it on me.
Leave that poor guy alone.
I think that the town is in a better position to defend this.
Yeah.
Because some of these vested projects, if they come up and we've allotted all, and I think we all know that the sewer capacity is
Getting up there.
more critical than the water.
Right.
If we run out of capacity in our sewer treatment, that it's going to be hard to tell these vested projects that have spent millions of dollars
Right.
that you can't build there. So I
Yeah.
just think it's the way to go.
Controversial, but the right thing to do.
I think, yeah, it levels the playing field some. You know, as far as our ability to provide that, which we will. We just need to, time.
Yeah.
Right, and it also kind of puts us back into the driver's seat as far as when we do it, as opposed to, okay, you know, all these people are applying for sewer rights and we ran out, we have to do it now. We can choose to you know, curtail some development until the town is ready to increase the sewer capacity.
Correct.
So, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Um,
All right. The next thing on the agenda,
the planning board.
yeah, before we get into that, that's going to be a lengthier discussion. Can we go back and look at a couple of things?
Yeah.
All right, one is ladies' bathtub.
Yes,
Did you guys see the letter we got?
I did. I took a walk down there yesterday with my dog too.
Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is there signage that we can put up down there? Butch?
What's that? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there signage that we can put up down at Ladies Bathtub urging folks to follow the COVID-19 guidelines?
We don't have any. We can get some made. We don't have any.
I think we
but
probably
yes,
should. We
can-
probably
we
should
can
get
get
something
made.
made, yeah. Even if
Could we-
it's temporary, because we don't know where these guidelines are gonna go. So even if it's just, not necessarily a cardboard sign, but, you know, some sort of a decal on a piece of wood for now, until we know exactly what these are gonna be in years to come, and then we can do more permanent signs if needed.
The one thing with the COVID piece, did Cascades get closed? I'm not aware of that. Cindy had mentioned that. Did they close?
That Woodstock did close Cascade Park.
Why?
And same as Mirror Lake, right?
And Mirror Lake, correct, because folks were not conforming to the 6-foot
Yeah.
Right.
rule. And
What
it
would be
was
wrong
unsafe.
with, what would be wrong with just closing Ladies until this COVID thing is over? So I went down, the river was really high, I mean dangerously high. If they swam in it, someone would have taken away the other
Oh,
day.
yeah, if you went down yesterday, everything was high yesterday.
It was
Yeah.
like, so until COVID is at the third stage or beyond, and I'm okay with closing it down. And
I'm leery of doing that until we have a reason to do so. If people are using it and being respectful, and, you know, if we give them some guidelines on, you know, conforming and respecting the COVID-19 guidelines, and, you know, keeping distance and whatnot, and then it's still a problem, then we'd have to close it. However, I'd hate to do that for our local residents that enjoy it.
Okay, I just want to inject. We can do all this, but let me just say, the police department, unfortunately, has inherited the enforcement of all these governor orders, okay? And just the restaurants, okay? And now we're hearing about other things. You can restrict anyone. I don't know who's going to enforce this stuff. Okay, they're not going to arrest. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to allow any arrests. Okay, people are going to go to swimming areas, especially if we ever get warm weather again. And you know, I don't want to sound flip, but I'm a little disappointed in just how I understand the slow opening, but the state of New Hampshire is doing nothing. This is all being pushed down onto the locals. And, you know, and I don't want to be theatrical or not, but we're still getting people pulling into Dunkin' Donuts parking lot and they're being found slumped over the wheel with a needle sticking in their arm. Okay, our police department is busy. Okay, and so I got it. We got to do this. I'm tired. You know, it's coming from all angles here, but we you know, we'll do what we can. We'll get signs up. That's easy. Make signs. We'll get it up. But I think things like swimming, and I'm going to tell you the old hole down in the levee, it's going to turn into, you know, it's going to turn into a party, and the guys, they'll get there when they can. I got it. Okay. And I don't know how you could be a citizen of the United States of America today and not know what the distancing requirements are. It's endless on the media. Some accurate, some not so accurate, but so I'm sorry. But anyway, I just want to give caution. We keep putting more restrictions in our 12 person department, police department, which sounds like a lot. And Ron Beard from the health officer side, that's all we got. And they're prioritizing their calls, obviously. And so, and looks like we're entering into a whole new era of this pandemic with you know, the marches and all that stuff. And I don't know, I haven't heard we're going to get one in Lincoln, but Littleton is. So anyway, so I would just ask the board to please consider that when we say close or don't close. Right. And I don't know how we'd enforce a closure at Bathtub. I don't. We could say closed, and my guess is there's still going to be people down on those rocks. And are the guys going to be there every day? Probably not, to check it out. You know, that's so.
Yeah.
State is open today.
Yeah. What I'd like to look at, and actually, if I could, we could talk to Cindy afterwards, because I don't know what, and there wasn't a whole lot of people on Memorial Day like we usually. So why all of a sudden the influx down at Ladies when all summer, last summer was fine and we had 30,000 people or more in the town. So I'd like to look at that first. The other thing is, you're right, it'd be tough to keep it closed. I know, I don't believe, Tammy, that everybody does social distance, because a lot of folks still don't believe in this whole thing. There's a lot of different views regarding COVID. So we can't guarantee that anyway for anybody down there. So we could put a sign up and keep it open. However, I'm wondering why the influx of so many people, as is mentioned in Cindy's letter.
Will you open this to the public?
I don't know. Is all right, OJ?
I'd be willing. I mean, we're responding to her letter, and I certainly think we should hear directly from Cindy. So my intention was to read your letter, which offered actually 3 different solutions. But Cindy, I'll let you talk first.
Okay. And you know, I mean, for years, I mean, the Ladies Bath has, every year it has more and more people. Last year on some of the warmer days and bigger weekends, you would look upstream and it looked like Hampton Beach. It gets very, very crowded. Mm-hmm. But you know, we've worked with the town, we partnered. We know that was the deal when they built here many years ago. And although it was originally intended for Lincoln and Woodstock residents, that's gone by the boards many years ago too, based on precedent and the internet and everything else. It's been an unusual beginning of the year, but they started coming in mid-May. And yes, the Saturday of Memorial Day was not very busy. Memorial Day itself was very busy. It was busy again last week when the weather got warm. If you go there on any day, at least 75% of the cars in the lot are from out of state. They're not Lincoln and Woodstock residents unless they're owners. But the bulk of the people that go there are from out of state, many walk-in. And one thing you also have to consider at this point is that none of the hotels are open. You know, the hotels don't open until July 5th. So there are few short-term rentals, few hotels. So these are just people who are coming, and I don't know where they're staying, but they're coming to the bath. One of the bigger issues, and I know that the town parks and playgrounds in Woodstock are closed for the very reason that people are not following social distancing or any of the CDC guidelines. It's very important in this COVID environment that if you own a public space, this is owned by the town, that you have some obligation to the residents of the town for their health and safety too. The biggest issue with the ladies' bathtub, and one we've lived with and not a problem, but this year it becomes a very different problem, is that it's right in the middle of a residential community. They're feet from us. And even those people that are starting to practice social distancing are spreading out. They're coming onto our property. They're moving up and down the river. They don't carry out, they leave trash, they leave stuff in the parking lot. Often our residents will clean up or our landscapers will clean up. We're not doing that because nobody wants to touch someone else's stuff. Those that are better about carrying it out actually carry it across West Branch Road and put it in our dumpsters. So they use our facilities. That's nice. But again, in a COVID environment, it becomes a different issue. Often we have people down there who have unleashed dogs. They bring them up unleashed onto the property. That has created problems. You have to confront them. And so when you have to confront people who are not abiding by the guidelines, and some of them aren't even very pleasant about it, it becomes a big issue. I think if this were a normal year, and the bath was very, very busy last year, and I'm sure it will be again, once we open up, once the state opens up, once the hotels, hopefully we go into a phase where they can be at greater capacity, it's going to fill up. So the issue is, and I'm the spokesman for many, I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of concern from our residents, is their health and safety in the midst of this COVID environment when you have a public swimming location, a public venue, right in the middle, not feet from our residential property, and we have to deal with it. So that's what's facing Riverfront. Normally, we know how to live with it, we work with it. If there wasn't this COVID health crisis in the midst of it that makes our residents very nervous as they try to deal with everything else, I think it would just be another year. So that's really where we're coming from. And I hope I explained that correctly. It's concern for their well-being. And it's just the beginning of the summer. So by the end of the month, particularly if you don't have parades and you don't have fireworks, and there are not other recreational venues where they can go to in any numbers, this is going to be high on the list. And that's really where we're coming from.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Yes, thank you, Cindy. One thing in her email to us, Cindy kind of outlines 3 different options.
Yeah.
I think that should be what we discuss right now. One is just general signage about COVID-19, social distancing, being responsible, etc. The second would be to restrict its use to Lincoln and Woodstock residents, which again would be done through signage.
And how do you enforce that one?
And then the third one is to close it. Okay. I think with any 3 of those options, the way you do it, implement it, is through signage. You either say, be careful, and here's the COVID-19 regulations, or it's closed to anyone who's not Lincoln and Woodstock, but still here's the COVID-19 regulations, or it's closed, period.
I see what you're saying.
All three of those are going to have to be enforced, and that's where the difficulty comes in. If we do the first or the second, yeah, the police can occasionally drive down by there, but as with anything, it's always when the police is there that everything's fine, and then when they leave, that's when you get people speeding or people doing what they shouldn't do, is always when the police aren't there. The closed thing is also going to be hard to enforce.
Years ago, I know Tara was down there all the time with her kids from the camp.
Yeah.
Can we make it part of the rec and have someone sit out there? I mean, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here to monitor it, because Butch is saying we don't, obviously it's not a PD thing. I mean, unless they're getting violent. Can we look at that avenue?
Can I ask, is Chad there? Can we hear from Chief Morris on?
Is he
his
there? I don't know.
thoughts? There he is.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So yeah, this is the first I've heard of it. So of the letter, and I don't really know how I feel. It's like trying to catch water with a colander. I don't know how we're going to do that, and especially now with beaches opening back up. It's kind of like, we're trying to move forward and everything's opening up behind us, and the rules are changing.
Yeah.
So I guess the town would have to take a stance, but what's going to stop somebody from going across the river, coming in that way?
Exactly.
Or up the river, or down the river, or on the south end.
Yeah.
I think it would be very, very, very difficult. And like OJ said, we're there, great, we leave, and it's back.
Yeah.
I know that the deputy chief has done some research at length on Ladies Bathtub. I don't have all the particulars. I don't have all the particulars about parking. So I don't really want to speak on behalf of something I'm really not familiar with. I've been there. I know what it is. I swam there for 20 years or whatever, but I just don't know the particulars, where the line is, who owns what. I would really, before I speak on it, would have to
Look at our
first in that.
Yeah, and I think another thing, Paul Bowden just actually sent an email.
I just read that.
If he verified it, but Loon apparently has closed all their parking lots and access to the river from that side on their land. So the pressure is going to be higher for access to the river. So
I really think we should close it.
so if the theme in town is to close things, and maybe that's the way, I'm just putting it out there. I just think that with the short-term rentals being loosened up, the town's going to be, maybe the hotels aren't going to be super busy, but the short-term rentals are, and those people are going to try to find a place to cool off. So the pressure is going to be on, and probably in Cynthia's development, the short-term rentals, which I know are there, are going to be part of it. So it's going to,
Right. I think we should just close it. For safety reasons, not because I want to be mean, just for safety reasons. If they're supposed to stand apart, and if it's getting that busy and the other places aren't open. The motels are opening their pools though, correct? Can we open pools yet or no?
I don't think pools are opening yet.
Not yet?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Check with Ron. He's up on the health stuff, but the last I heard, hotels still can't open their pools yet.
So why don't we wait until they open their pools? Close it until they open their pools, till we have other places so the folks can go, other places besides Ladies Bathtub.
Again, with town-owned property, we can pick, if we're trying to be consistent with the private sector, that's one thing, but we can do anything we want. We're exempt from all the rules if we want to. I hope we don't do that, but we can.
I don't want to see it closed. I definitely advocate for signage. We definitely need signage, but I don't want to see it closed. I mean,
Signs, they do what they want, Tammy. That's human nature.
so a big sign that says it's closed, they're still going to do what they want anyway. Then we're just causing a big giant pain in the butt for the police department to enforce something else that they don't have the time to do. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Right, if we close it though, less people would definitely go there. If we closed it up, put a rope on it or something and said this is closed, less people would go there.
And every time
And
someone
then-
walks down those steps, there's going to be some resident at Riverfront that's going to call the PD. And
If we close the bathtub, we would literally close that cul-de-sac. You'd have to close off the parking.
Mhm.
You have to barricade the park.
They're still going to go
Barricade
down
them
there. That's not going to keep them out. I
No.
just think that prohibition didn't work, that it's not going to work. It's just going to be a pain in the ass for the police department. We need to sign it and encourage people to do things safely and correctly and not just say, no, you can't do anything. I don't think it's the right approach. I truly don't.
With that many people in one place, I don't think any signage is gonna help. They wanna get what they wanna swim, they're gonna swim. And then it's dangerous, I think, if that many people get down there. There's a lot of people down there. That's my thought on it anyway.
I own a mile of river frontage down the road. I can swim whenever I want. So that closing ladies doesn't affect me at all. I have access to actually 2 different rivers. So I just don't think it's the right thing to do.
Does Sarah use it any, I don't see anybody
No.
I know down.
There's no day
So
camp
it's
right
most,
now.
right. So does she go down during the day camp time still or no?
No, they go to, well, they did go to Echo instead.
Right, because they got
must have
too busy with the forest. That's why. So that's
No, it got
unfortunate.
small enough. Day camp got bigger and ladies was too small. There wasn't
Smaller
enough
kids, we had
beachfront.
bigger.
There wasn't enough beachfront for all 60 kids. When day camp was 25, it worked. When we got to 60 kids at day camp, the beachfront at ladies isn't big enough. We had to take them to
Yeah.
Echo for the beach
Well,
for area.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. So, I don't know, OJ, what do you think?
I mean, I just think we're in a difficult position, but as is every body making these types of decisions, I would hate
Yeah.
to close everything. Old Hole is much larger. There's tons of rock and beach space and levee that people certainly could spread out there if they wanted to. I mean, I've seen it on busy days, in past summers, and there's still enough room and rocks and sand to spread out.
Yeah.
So I don't see that, I'd hate to see that closed. Ladies is much more confined. It's only one side of the river, and it's only a small section of the river where there's actually, sand and, smooth rocks to sit on. So it is harder to spread out. So I would not want to see a universal closure of everything. But I also see that the problem, if Loon closes everything and we close Ladies and Woodstock closes everything, that really leaves Old Hole is like the only option.
Keep in mind that this stay-at-home order is only for another 2 weeks, and the governor's going to get on TV in another 2 weeks and change all these rules again. So who knows? In 2 weeks, who knows what he's going to say and where all these rules are going to go and what Loon's going to decide to do. And I mean, it's all going to change again in 2 weeks. So
Yeah. I would think at some junction, we'd have to start looking at the number of tourists that come here and how we can't allow them to do everything because there's just no room.
Good luck with that.
Well, people do it. Wells does it, other people do
Yes.
it. You have to start looking at that. It's unfair to the locals or the residents or whatever because of that, and it's dangerous. You get too many people down there, someone's gonna get killed, fall and hit their head or something. So yeah, at some point in life, you need to look at that. The town does.
Just regardless of the COVID-19 situation, you're saying limit the number of people that.
So I think you have to at some time look at it. I know you guys are not, both of you are not that way now, but I've been in enough places to know that you buy a ticket to get in and everything is free up here. And I think that at some point the town should look at that and say, okay, so where do our residents count in there?
There are a lot of our residents that that
a lot of
rely
people I
on the
know-
tourists.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm almost done, please. A lot of people I know don't go there anymore because it's too full of tourists. So, I mean, at some point, you should look at it. Truthfully, how many people can you put in one town and let them all do the same thing? You can only put so many people in a theater, right? So anyway, that's enough of that, but I don't know what you guys want to do. Go for it.
Tammy, did you want to say anything else?
No,
She's telling me, that's that shut up, Jane. I can see it with her face.
I guess, you know,
I don't want to argue, so I'm not gonna.
I mean,
Good.
I think it's inevitable that we're going to have problems with Ladies Bathtub this year and forever because it's in the middle of a residential development. And
Yeah.
And it was designed that way, and every single person that owns a unit or a place or a parking lot or a stick in that development knew and knows that
I
it's
know.
there. Since day one, before Riverfront was there, Ladies Bathtub was there. So
Right.
this
Right.
is not a surprise.
But there were restrictions initially.
There still are restrictions.
Originally, there was only access through the property for Lincoln Station, and it was only for Lincoln and Woodstock residents. It wasn't an amusement park for the world, you know?
Therein
So
lies.
we could put a sign up there that says this is for Lincoln and Woodstock residents, and every single homeowner at Riverfront that is not a resident of Lincoln or Woodstock can't go.
No, I'm saying, when we say.
Oh, no, of course not.
No, listen to me. My assumption, Lincoln and Woodstock residents, is if you're a homeowner in Lincoln or Woodstock, yes. But it's all the hotel and the short-term rental traffic, that all these cars from New York, New Jersey, you can own in Lincoln and Woodstock and still be a resident. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
But if we're Airbnb-ing or VRBOing a unit at Riverfront, then that doesn't count?
Well, I tell you, this year, because we're trying to open our pools, we're not allowing renters in our pool. We have to make decisions to open our pools, which means they have to all the restrictions for CDC, we have to apply to our pools. So I'm saying we're all faced with decisions.
And I have to disagree with your assessment, because just because you own a property in Lincoln or Woodstock does not make you a Lincoln or Woodstock resident.
I know that.
I own property in Massachusetts. I'm not a Massachusetts resident. And I own property in Florida. I'm not a Florida resident.
We got that. I think the wording would need to be residents and taxpayers. So limit residents and taxpayers of Lincoln and Woodstock.
Mhm.
If that's the route we wanted to go.
And that's still going to bring you New York plates and New Jersey plates and Rhode Island plates and Connecticut plates.
Correct.
So do you have to you have to bring your tax bill to Ladies Bathtub if you want to swim for the day? It doesn't, and who's going to check that tax bill, Chad?
It's a sign, Tim. You're just saying the good sign.
It's
just one more comment from me. Just one more comment because someone made it. If you live in Hampton Beach or many beaches along the shore, you have like resident parking only, resident use only, and permits are given out by the town. And so there's a little thing like our dump stickers that you put on your car that says you are entitled to have access to this location. So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
But you have to show that you are a homeowner or a landowner in town in order to get that dump sticker or that ski pass at the Kank. So who's enforcing this? We have full-time staff at the solid waste facility. We have a seasonal full-time staff at the Kank that checks these things. Again, we're going on like the PD needs more to do. They got to go check tax bills at Ladies Bathtub. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Let's come to.
Tell you what, why don't I get some signage? The first thing I heard tonight when we started this was, could we get signs? Let's put some signs up that at least tells everybody that's there they got to adhere to the CDC, say, all the stuff we'll try to find something that's weatherproof, and and temporary and get it in there. And maybe Chad, between Chad and Ron, we can arrange those a few more frequent checks and let's try that.
Do we have to buy them?
Yeah,
Or we
we'll have
just-
to buy them, but we don't want to take a crayon and write on the, I think we better, it has to be something, we should be able to, I would think there's somebody must have CDC or DHHS or somebody must have.
There's a ton of printable stuff online, so I would imagine that you would be able to find something that you could send to a vinyl cutter to get
Put it
vinyl
on a
on the
stake.
sign. Yeah,
We'll put it on a stake and
yeah.
I would ask,
people, they have-
I would like
Go
to
ahead,
ask
Chad.
something of the board, if you make a decision to somehow restrict it or whatever the case may be, that it's based on an actual RSA that we can enforce. It's not going to be, he's not wearing a mask and he's not 6 feet from me. Those are recommendations and they're changing all the time. So if something is decided upon, it has to be based on an actual RSA that we can enforce.
And that's
What would
what I
that be,
do.
Chad?
I believe that has to be an ordinance. And sitting here in front of me, I can't remember what it is for you folks to enact an ordinance that he can issue citations for. So that's my point, is the state through the governor's office and we're very cleverly made all these, but the only enforcement mechanism is through a civil action by our police department that's referred to the Attorney General's office for prosecution. Is that pretty much correct? That's in all of this COVID stuff.
There is violation of the orders, during an emergency declaration. I don't, the RSA escapes me, is 27P or 21P, or I forget the exact number, but it's enforceable under that. But it's about education, education, and education. They say that it's out there, but they really want you to wag your finger and say you really shouldn't do that before you actually violate, somebody on that. And then tomorrow, the rule changes.
Is there ordinance, Chad, about having too many people? Forget the COVID piece, that we know that it will go up to 50, but it's not. Is there ordinance about putting too many people in one spot? Not just forget about COVID for a minute. Is there an ordinance saying you can't have a fire ordinance? It must be so many people in a room. I mean, those rocks there are pretty narrow. I mean, there's not a whole lot of room there. So is there any type of ordinance that would meet?
Check with Ron. Ron could address assembly permits, but beaches don't require assembly permits, but let Ron chime in and see what he says. I don't.
Yeah, what do you think, Ron?
Yeah, the assembly codes are for structures like tents, buildings. In the executive orders, though, right now you're not supposed to have groups of more than 10. Everybody should be
Inside, right?
6 feet.
Outside, everything.
Anything. Okay.
So obviously, when we do the signage, it'll be to the current, but we'll have to make them in such a way that they can adapt to changes. If we go to phase 2, phase 3, or whatever.
Right.
It's about as clear as mud.
Yeah.
Yes, there'll be 10 people 6 feet apart.
So if we order signs today, we probably won't get them installed until the June 15th next phase starts.
That's right.
So, and number two, Jane, I know you had a concern about printing signs. I think that if we close it completely, if we restrict it to Lincoln Woodstock residents, or if we ask people to abide by COVID-19, the only way we're going to do any of those is with signage. So if you don't want to do signs, I think the only alternative that I see is we do nothing. But I mean, I don't know how you envision to do anything without a sign unless you think we should do nothing.
Well, I think there's a valid concern that came in front of the board as far as the number of people that are there. And I think once we get, I was talking to Butch about this earlier, the short-term STR application in process, we'll know who and where they are, where they're renting out, and they're not residents, right? They're guests. So that will help. We'll know more where the short-term rentals are and.
It won't help at Ladies Bathtub.
No.
What?
I don't understand how that even relates to Ladies Bathtub.
Well, if people are renting short-term rentals there, they're using Ladies Bathtub, are they not? Or are you gonna say it's okay if they're short-term rentals, they can use the bathtub? Even though they're not residents, they're guests. I mean,
Well, it depends on, again, let's leave short-term rentals out of this. Either we open it up for the public, which includes short-term rentals, local people, hotel guests, people driving up for the day, just as it is now.
it's silly. It's silly and it's dangerous.
Okay.
That's,
My question goes back to the sign. Don't keep circling on us. Do you want signage there or not?
I don't think it will do any good, but go ahead and put it up if it makes you feel better.
I'm asking you.
No, I know Tammy wants it. Go ahead and put it up. Say 6 feet.
No, Jane, what do you want us to do? I want an answer from you.
I want you to make it so there's a minimal amount of people that can go to ladies' bathtub at a time, but we can't do it because we don't have enough police officers or enforcers.
So you're telling us what you want to do is something we cannot do.
Right. So let's hire another police officer. That's
With
what we need. We
signage?
get more people.
With signage?
Well, to enforce codes, to enforce rules and regulations. OJ, we can't have tons of people in one place not having.
You're not answering the question. You're not answering.
I am. I'm telling you what I want.
No, I want to, what should the Board of Selectmen do? We should enact X. Tell me what X is.
I think we should close it.
Okay.
I already said that. We should close it until the pools and everybody else opens up.
Okay,
Or it will
without
be
signage though. We just word of mouth tell people it's closed, but no signage.
we have to put up a sign that says closed, wouldn't you?
I just heard you say.
Yes, put up a sign that says closed and put a big rope across it.
Thank you for answering the question.
I said that earlier, OJ. Silly. I said it way earlier. Close the damn thing.
And that we just went in too many circles there. I would like to go with Butch's suggestion that we put up signage that asks people to adhere to the CDC COVID-19 regulations regarding social distancing.
Beaches, whatever's going on.
Yeah. And I guess see how that goes. I guess I would also maybe as part of that signage say that if this area is too populated to allow for proper social distancing, go up to Old Hole. Give them directions how to get there. That's a huge, I mean, you have that levee on one side with a beach down below, and then you have all the rocks and beach on the other side. Send them there. That would be my suggestion. Tammy, what do you want?
I want to see signage that has people adhere to the, encouraging folks to adhere to the CDC COVID-19 guidelines. But I don't want to send them to the Old Hole either. I'm not totally opposed to that, but we're going to piss off the townsfolk that go to the Old Hole all the time if we start doing that stuff. So I just don't want to start a war. We'll try to do what we can for the folks at Ladies Bathtub, try to encourage folks to adhere to the CDC guidelines. Let's not piss off another whole set of homeowners trying to accomplish that goal.
All right, how about, I get that, that's fair. How about if we say, if this facility is too please find other alternatives.
Yes. Yes, perfect. I'm good with that. Yes. Yep. Great.
And Ron, Chad, or Butch, is that if we signage requesting people follow the CDC requirements and suggesting that if it's too crowded, there's other spots on the river and go find them.
Seek an alternative spot on the river.
Find access, and if you can find access, find the river. Yeah.
Well, how about, yeah, just it's closed. What's wrong with that? Are we host-
We only have one. We only
I
have
haven't
one
closed it
currently.
yet.
One public access to Old Hole. Currently,
Right.
Correct.
a lot of people don't even know where it is, but we have it. Everything else is they're coming across the private property. So
Correct.
okay.
I don't want to disappoint Cynthia if we're called there and it's subjective. This place is overrun with people and one of my officers goes down and there's 10 people. I just don't want to disappoint because it is subjective. And those are really merely just recommendations. It's nothing I
And
can,
this is,
sorry.
I know it's hard to deal, because I know this isn't a public, but I just jump in and say, we realize that if an effort is made, I think we're appreciative. I will try and control our sometimes overreactive people on this end, but we just want to thank you for considering it and trying to come up. And I think, if it's too crowded, I would encourage them to find another spot where there is public access to the river and not just leave it open, because that would, probably make other homeowners angry. But I just want to thank you for considering it. And again, we'll try to work with you, Chad, and I will try to control it on our end. But I think if we're moving forward together, it's much better than people down here being upset. They need to be able to express their concerns, and hopefully we've been able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
It's just that when we show up, people expect us to do something. And I just don't want to disappoint if we walk away and don't do something because we don't have swimming trunks. We don't issue swimming trunks to our officers. I'm being a little bit facetious there, but and again, it could be subjective. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, but again, I think it goes back to what you said before, that your real role there is education.
Sure.
Informing people, letting them know that these are serious rules. And
Yeah, and I know Ron as health officer, he can make a presence too as a health officer, and just the distancing, the health issue, and the whole thing. So we can do what we can do.
Work as a team on it.
Yeah.
All right, so can we leave that up to Ron and Chad and Butch to come up with the appropriate signage? And I would say probably a couple of signs at least.
Yeah.
One in the parking area-ish, one on a tree going down towards the stairway.
Yep. We'll get something up. Yep.
All right. And again, before we go on to rates, I sent out something today on two things that I found out about closed captioning.
Yes.
People get those?
Just a minute.
Yeah, I did. I did.
All right. I spoke to the guy today from the Total Caption company.
Huh?
And I learned it was worth the phone call because it was long, but there's a couple of options of how this can work. One is closed captioning is a system where people could watch our Zoom meeting and choose to either have captioning show across the screen or not. Okay. That would only be available if someone were watching this live. Like right now, my words would be going across the screen. You can either turn them on or turn them off if you don't want them.
Yeah.
Okay. However, once this meeting ends, all those words go away. So when we upload this onto the town website and someone watches this tomorrow, there's no words, there's no captioning. If we wanted those words there, First of all, the rates on that is $125 an hour before 7 o'clock, $135 an hour after 7 o'clock.
Mhm.
If we wanted them to save all of that captioning, and then they call it embedding it into our video, that costs another $90 an hour.
Mhm.
But then someone could, go on tomorrow or 2 years from now, and the captioning would show up for the whole meeting, but you could not turn it off. So anyone watching the video would do it. So that ends up assuming that, let's assume our meetings end before 7. Sometimes they wouldn't, but on average, they do. That's $215 an hour, or say $430 a week to provide closed captioning live during the meeting and embed it
Embed it.
forever.
Is there any upfront equipment costs?
No,
None. So
No.
just using round numbers because it was easier. So I know we don't have 50 meetings a year, but we're close to it, and it was an easy round number to use. You're talking $21,500. What do you?
Correct.
Just for the Board of Selectmen.
Just for the Board of Selectmen. That doesn't include the Budget Committee, the
More
ZBA,
importantly, the planning board.
Planning Board, which meets way more than we do,
Well, when
So-
they do, but their meetings are upwards of
and
3.
longer.
Yeah.
Longer, and it's potentially twice a month that they'll meet longer meetings, right?
Correct.
So we're still talking 50, 60,000 a year
Yeah,
to
and
do
OJ
closed
did,
captioning.
right, OJ did, the outfit you were talking with, now, the folks that do our live streaming, that's pretty much in line with what they told us they would have to charge for them. They have the same system, but the technology, the actual, I don't know, program or whatever it is to download that is the $50,000 cost. So is this group, do they attach to our current live streaming format, or do we have to change companies?
They can do Zoom and WebEx currently.
So we would have to change companies.
Yeah.
We'd have to change for our live streaming.
No, we could have Zoom
Okay.
on when we go back to meeting in the building, we'd still each have to have a computer in front of us and do Zoom, or have one computer, like maybe we take the one that Ron's using and flip it around and face the table and Zoom it. But then they could, I think they need it like this so that they know who's talking.
Right.
So anyway, we'd have to have Zoom meetings while we're sitting at the table, and they could close caption it.
What about for public participation for those that are in the audience when we get back to public meetings?
We'd probably have to have one computer that we can,
Face
turn
them.
and face each speaker.
Yes.
Or maybe we have it on a table, and if they want to speak, they have to come up and sit in front of the computer so that they're on the Zoom. And they'd have to
I am still in favor of not live streaming our meetings anymore after the COVID-19 order is lifted, simply because I don't think it's responsible to spend $50,000 to $60,000 a year of taxpayer money on closed captioning at this time.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to look into, because again, the email that we got from Lisa last week suggested doing it after the fact, which if we did that, in other words, if we had this Zoom meeting and then, tomorrow, Jane or whoever ships this to transcript, that they would, assuming it's a 2-hour meeting, they would within 5 days send the video back with the embedded transcription, and they're charging, call it $200 for a 2-hour meeting.
So $100 an hour.
Yes.
So you're still talking 10 grand and
10
for the selectmen only for a year. And now you've got planning board, you've got budget committee, you've got ZBA, you've
Well,
got several committees that,
We haven't been requested to do that. And this does not meet ADA compliance
Right,
because of a
right.
5-day delay.
right.
That's correct, yeah.
Now, in order, I guess, to meet the ADA compliance, we would do what you just suggested, Tammy, is not have this Zoom meeting broadcast live. We would just do it at the building like we have for years, but we do it in front of Zoom, on our computers, send it out, they send it back, and then we upload the video that's fully captioned 5 days, or call it a week after the meeting.
So that is a $10,000 a year price tag, roughly,
Correct.
in rough numbers.
Correct.
Do we have to, if we post them after our minutes are approved, then we post the recording of the meeting? Now, this is all after the COVID restrictions are lifted and we're back at town hall having public meetings where public is welcome. And if we wait, we record it and don't post it, don't live stream it until after our minutes are approved, do we still have to have it closed captioned?
I mean, you're asking a legal question there on ADA compliance. I don't know the answer, and
Wait, let me do the research. I'll find out. Let me
Well,
find that out.
I think I can tell you the law, the ADA requirements as we speak, for any public meeting, the closed captioning has to be no more than a 3-second delay of the speaker with 98% accuracy. No more than 3-second delay.
right, but
98%
but
accurate.
if we're not broadcasting it live, if it goes up 7 days later,
Right, if you're doing no live stream at all, the only
Right.
way you want to know what's going on at our town hall is come to the meeting.
Come to the meeting.
Come to the
But,
meeting.
but recording that meeting and not live streaming it and not posting it, hold on to that recording until a week later when the minutes of the paper minutes are approved, then put
There's
that
no-
recording online.
Right, the recordings back in the day, you tape recorded or
Right?
audio recorded them simply as a tool for the person doing the minutes. The law never required you to keep those. Once the minutes are approved, they are the official record. And the
Right.
recordings can go away. That's
So
the way
we
it was.
we can post those videos of the meeting after those legal recorded minutes are approved and signed. Then we can post our recording of the meeting from a week prior. And the reason I'm asking that is because it's an important tool, I think, when you've got somebody that's looking for information on something, especially with planning board. And if, a 91A request, we can forward them the link to the video of the meeting. Do you know what I mean? I think people are using that recordings of the meeting, especially planning board, to get vital information off of, that it's saving our folks at town hall time, effort, energy, money for the town to collect that, if people could just watch the video of the meeting and get the information that they need.
again, I think that the minutes are the official,
Correct.
and let them read the minutes. I mean, by rights, the minutes does not have to be a transcript, does not have to include everything we say, but it definitely should include any decisions that are made.
Yeah, motions are important information, right?
Right, so the minutes are gonna have what decisions were made. I don't know what to say. I don't think that it's practical budget-wise to do every single meeting and put it up
Closed
there.
captions, no.
And you know, I'm not sure any of these other solutions will meet the ADA criteria.
Doesn't sound like some of them will.
Right, I don't think we can spend that $50,000-$60,000 a year to meet the ADA requirements on closed captioning. Once we're back at town hall, don't live stream the meetings. I still think having that recording available after our official legal minutes are approved, then we can post the recording of the meeting online and people can watch it. It'll be a week late, but people can watch it if they need to or want to, or people that are homebound, etc., can still have access to the videos of that meeting. They just won't be closed captioned. And again, don't post those recordings online for access to anybody until after our legal minutes are approved.
Almost like getting a television show, we're gonna pre-record. I don't, you know.
I guess, I think before we did that, I would want legal advice over that. Does that open up a can of worms?
Yeah.
Seriously. I think at this point,
Well, it's easy to find out those answers. I can do some research and find out if that.
I think you're gonna find the same, we've all hit the same spots, but go ahead, Tam. I mean, I think.
Yeah. See if you can find if there's any allowance if we do it a week later.
The cheaper way to
After
go
our
is,
legal minutes are approved.
yeah, and I don't think that's gonna pass muster, but I'd be curious what you find out on that.
I'll find
But
out.
anyway,
I'll make some
I
phone
think
calls.
the other less expensive method is similar to what's in bars. If you watch the closed caption that goes across from sports talk shows and stuff, that is much less expensive, but it's only about 60% accurate, and it has upwards of 20-second delay. So someone with a true disability might not realize who's speaking and stuff like that. Some towns, the CEO of the group that we currently have doing our live streaming is also in Florida and Connecticut, and a lot of towns and cities were using that system until they got a legal challenge and had to change to the 3-second delay and 98% accuracy for the hearing impaired. So, but you know, until you're challenged, you know, that's what it comes down to.
And whatever decision we make before we take down all the cameras and get rid of the equipment, I would like to put it before the voters in the spring as just an advisory. I mean, maybe they want us to spend $60,000 a year and closed caption it. I don't know.
Well, going on that, here's what I thought is that we've had 2 people who have expressed an interest in this to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Is see if they want to form an ad hoc committee and come up with suggestions to the Board of Selectmen, and probably more importantly, the Budget Committee. It's the Budget Committee's budget that's going to go to the townspeople, and see if there's a affordable, practical solution that would get mustered with the Budget Committee and go before the town.
Great idea.
Yeah, we had mentioned it before. We had talked just about all of this before, and I agree to that. Put it in front of the Budget Committee, get it in front of the townsfolk. If they want it, they want it.
All right. I would suggest that we ask Lisa Philbrick and Paul Bowden to, if they want to be on a committee. I mean, they wouldn't have to come up with anything until budget season starts, which is generally late November. They could certainly do it before then, but.
OJ, would you like to reach out to both of them via email to see if they are interested in that?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Jane, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. So we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think it's a good idea. Lisa had mentioned in her letter that it isn't a choice, it's ADA. So just a heads up with that when we read the letter. But I just want to get the approval too of, I don't know, that's a lot of money. We may have to legally do it. Anyway, onward, can we go move forward?
All right. Butch, did you find anything about Tom Tremblay's land up there, the sewer pump? You're gonna have Nate look at that and see if that.
Yeah, there's some, it isn't just a simple replace the pump. Tom, if he was gonna do that, the one home, there's one home that will always need that pump unless the sewer line is run from their house, the existing home, to the new gravity system. But Nate feels it would also require an interior replumbing of their house to get the sewer to come out the proper side of the building. So it's really not as simple as that, but it is doable. And I did not get to Tom to just have, or maybe Nate has. I did not check with Nate to see if he talked with Tom to make Tom realize that that's what we're doing. So we're right now supporting a pump there for very expensive pump for one home. That's it.
Okay, and that pump is like halfway down Luann Lane.
Actually, I think it's over halfway. Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it's and I mean, I don't know what Tom's plans are, but I assume it's down towards the far end of
Yeah,
Luann.
so that single home could be made to gravity feed into his system, but the homeowner would have to agree to replumb his house and have it come up. In Nate's opinion, it couldn't just simply run a gravity line to the house, because right now their gravity piece that goes out to the well that the grinder pump is in is gravity to that thing out a different side of the building.
Okay, I'm confused when I look at the setup of that, but Nate knows more about it than me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's, yeah.
Let's pursue that. I want to see if this is a practical thing, because I'd like to, if it makes sense, bring this to a public hearing and see if there's any feedback we get from the taxpayers and residents.
Good idea.
And if it looks good, move forward with trading them the piece of land for a nice sidewalk that connects Pollard Road to Main Street.
I had a question from a resident that is Luann Lane a town road? I don't believe it is.
It is to a certain point.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't have public access from Pollard Road to Main Street.
Yes,
There's
you
a
do.
section of that that's not public road. It's private.
There is no road from Luann Lane to 112. Is that what you're talking about?
Right,
112?
nope. Because from Luann Lane to Main Street, that's that public right-of-way access. I mean, it's a path that's not even really supposed to be right now, but whatever, it's public access. And then Pollard Road, Luann Lane, to a certain point is public, but then it turns to private before you get to that path.
Correct. That's now Tom Tremblay's land. Correct.
Right. So the public does not have public access from Pollard Road to Main Street.
But they will.
They will if we go
That's
through
part
this.
of his proposal.
Yeah.
Well, no, if you look at his proposal, and I did have it here somewhere, he agreed to redo that pathway from Luann Lane to Main Street and pave it and put in landscaping, etc. It didn't say anything about the private part of Luann Lane that's not open to public access.
Well, we can check on that.
So yeah, I
It
just
was-
wanted to make sure we address that. And that
Okay,
was
it certainly implied that was the intention, was to make that
Right.
accessible from Pollard Road to Main Street.
I agree, and I just want to make sure that happens, and, you know, I was asked to point that out, and I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. And then the next thing to discuss is our board meetings. We're under the stay-at-home 2.0 here for another 2 weeks.
yeah.
Do we want to make any changes to our board meetings or continue on this platform for at least another 2 weeks?
I think we continue on this platform for at least another 2 weeks.
I agree.
All right.
To have
we're
the
good.
governor's orders. So the 8th and the 15th will be Zoom meetings, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some questions too when you get to that point.
All right, let's put the rate structure on hold. And Jane, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, just quickly, I've been hearing about people wondering about opening up the town hall and the status of that. Opening it up, probably because the tax bills are going out and people are wondering how to pay and that kind of thing. So is there a status on when the town hall will be opening up? Butch?
I don't think we should open town hall until the stay-at-home order is lifted. Right now, we've got the drop box. People were dropping off tax bills and money today, either through appointment with Kristen or in the drop box, and it seems to be working.
2 weeks.
That's,
Yeah.
and that could be 2 weeks, or it could be another month. I mean, depends on the way he's doing it in 2-week blocks. We don't know
Right.
when it's gonna happen. That's my suggestion, and here's the reason. We can open it right now, again, but it seems, kind of not right that the town can do anything they want, but yet we're asking every business and citizen in the community to jump through hoops to even go have a hamburger with limited access. So my suggestion is we stay the course. And when we do, we'll open it up to the lobby only with distancing and only so many allowed in, and just like everybody else is doing. That's what I think, but obviously you guys make the fun.
Something to point out too is that, just because the numbers are going down, that it's peaked in Rockingham County, it's peaked in Nashua, it's peaked in Manchester, Concord. We're just seeing it up here. We've just got our first 2 or 3 cases in three cases in town, or in the community, I should say. That within the last couple of weeks, we're just seeing it here. We are, it's the governor and the powers that be are opening things up because down south their numbers are going down, and it's time to start doing that. It's the North Country has always been a different animal. Ray Burton could have told you that one. He was, it's a total different animal. It's a whole, how did he say it? Not another state. It's another, I don't remember what he used to say, but he had a great way of putting it. So it's, I'm leery of going too quickly to follow what the rest of the state is doing, because they're 2 different animals. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Did you have 2 cents, OJ? I had another question. You all right with that?
Yeah, I'm good with, if we're not gonna have our meetings in the town hall, I would say we leave it closed and relook at that whole decision on the 15th.
Yeah, okay.
Agreed.
Let's see. We had talked previously, and I don't know if you've gotten anywhere because of the COVID. I'm sure everybody's behind and very busy. Carol and Chief Beard, we're going to talk about a billing plan that goes with, well, that relates to what we're not going to talk about or talk about tonight, the planning board fee structure and how that's going to be handled in-house regarding that once the fees are being acquired. I'm sure that hasn't made any headway because everybody's too busy, so I'm going to keep that.
Yeah, I had that on my list too.
Yeah. This short-term rental application, I know we had completed that and there was just some revisions. I know Ron is really busy. Perhaps we could look at that again as a board and make those revisions ourselves somehow and try to get that in the forefront. I think that would have been very helpful through this COVID thing, considering the complaints about them. I don't know. Do you have it, Ron? I think I gave you my copy. That's why I can't find it. Did I give you my copy, Ron?
Yeah, I actually was just looking at it today.
Okay.
I am gonna try and work on that when I get some time. You know, as the rules keep changing, some of them is less for us to do, so I can turn my attentions to other things.
No, well, if you want, I could finish it. We could.
Yeah, there's just a few minor things that we had to change.
There was very couple of two, I think. Let's see. I just want to make sure that we have invited Lisa to meetings, and she has been given the link to Zoom and stuff. Lisa's aware how to do that. I want to make sure that that's all.
Posted on the public notice, right, of the agenda online. I believe it's posted on that.
Okay. I was wondering about, I don't know if this is a planning board thing or not, but about the house next door, and there was complaints about the building and the asbestos and that kind of thing. I didn't know if you had got the results from that person or not.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, she came and saw me at the fire station, I think it was mid to late last week. It did come back, tested positive for asbestos siding and something in the insulation in the attic. They've retained a professional company to come in and mitigate the situation, remove it safely. And that should be happening within a week.
Okay,
So,
did she see who the company was? Somebody,
you know, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but
yeah,
I'll keep an eye on it. I did notice a different container over there,
yeah,
one that can be sealed up. So they'll be doing it right.
okay. That's expensive, that's too bad, but we all have it, asbestos, back in the day. Did we get any of the DES details from Ray Corber regarding, I printed off this Calyx report, which was interesting, and kind of following on what Tammy was gonna mention, maybe she'd bring that up, some more details regarding the riverfront and how that is. I think it is what it is, quite honestly. I don't think I anticipated that area to look any cleaner, except they did say that it was Calyx at one point, a little cleaner than we found out later. Let's see. Butch's evaluation, we usually do right that after March, but since we probably want to put that some point, I know we haven't mentioned it because of the COVID and everybody's so crazy busy, but that's something that we should remember to do.
Good call. Once we get back into public meetings at town hall, we'll have to remember to put that on the agenda.
Right. One of the things we talked about was you had asked if any specific place there was specific trash down by the solid waste facility on the way in on the left-hand side. I've been down there picking up before 40 gallons of like 40 gallons behind those places, and there's still always trash back there. So I was
places behind. Where are you? I'm sorry. Tell me again where you are.
going down to the solid waste on the left-hand side behind the businesses.
Rite Aid, Dunkin' Donuts.
And all the way down, it's usually trashed. I don't know if I pulled 4 or 5 40-gallon buckets out last year of trash, and I stopped after a while because I realized it's probably digging in a dump where the bear had for years put it. But that's always a place that needs to be picked up. The state cut back the trees down there, but I don't think they pick up the garbage. Obviously, why should they? So that's that. Let me see. We're going to talk about the Pines later. Are we going to go into non-public for that? Or are we going to talk about what's going on?
That'll be something we do under non-public, responding to the letter from the attorney.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's it, thank you.
Hey, Butch, I had asked for any communications or correspondence from DES regarding Riverfront Park, and you were going to get a hold of Ray and have him.
Yep, we had a meeting today, and we're going to, Ray has suggested that the solid waste that we found down in that spot when we dug the test pits, that we go one step further and we get a geological engineer in there to look at the stability of that place before we make any formal recommendations. And he is looking into moving that parking lot, a couple other locations. One is the old Bernie site, and then also adding on to the possibly the parking for the theater and up through there, working with Dennis for parking there. I will be briefing you guys on in non-public on some other issues that have arisen that border on legal. So
The geological engineer for the entire
No.
site, just that one
to
spot.
identify that the solid waste site that we found in there, and it's to actually determine the size of it.
We had talked about Kalex coming back in. Is that still happening?
Possibly. I have canceled Calyx until
now.
such time as we figure out the size of that area that we're going to have to deal with, and I'll give you more info in non-public.
Okay.
Pepe,
Butch, do you have anything else for town manager's report? I know we had a question along here, so.
Well, tax bills went out on May 28th, and
Thanks.
was very busy. No, thank Jonna and
Yeah, thank you, Jonna.
Jonna and Kristen and Jane. They all teamed up and got out and
Can I just say our staff is awesome.
we're out straight. I also want
Every one of them.
to announce that sadly that Carol
Excuse me.
Bond is dealing with mom is terminal, and
Oh,
so she's in hospice, and so our thoughts go out to Carol and her family.
very sorry to hear that.
She's really distracted at the moment, but so we're trying to make things get together. But so that's that. I think we've covered it. But anyway, the folks are showing up at town hall with their tax bills and tax money, and today it was a fairly steady stream. So that's that's good. And and
Anything from Rav Tellis? Rav Tellis was going to look into tap fees as part of their.
that's all. I believe that was addressed and it's out to the water committee. I believe the whole report is out.
Well, yeah, the report that we got, or the letter we got for them was great, but it didn't include anything. They were going to look at our tap fees. And it didn't include anything with our tap fees.
I think that was included. I think that wasn't.
No.
No, it wasn't there. Wasn't in there.
Then the
And
answer is
what
no.
they did send us was fantastic,
Then
but
the
it
answer is
didn't,
no.
it didn't include the tap fees. I was just wondering if they were still going to weigh in on that.
So the answer is no. We haven't. So I'll have to check on it.
Thank
Raptel.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rattle their cage again because that was part of that contract we had with them. And it's kind of the thing I was most looking forward to, and it didn't arrive.
Okay. So maybe this still work. I'll have to check. OJ, I
Just
misunderstood.
Just
Okay.
say that we've not had the water committee meeting yet, and we may not until the stay-at-home order is over.
Right.
Would like the tap fees reviewed and their input on that.
Right. So I got actually two more things. I'll go quickly to the summer board meeting schedule. I think we determined until COVID's over, we're going to meet weekly. Is that going to
now.
continue?
For now, yeah.
I would say until we decide further that we're going to meet every week.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Castle, obviously the Highland Games and Brew Fest have canceled. Okay, what I need a decision from the board on, we are getting weekly, if not now, probably bi-weekly calls from Castleberry Fairs, the folks at home, the craft fair in August and October in Town Square. I am going to recommend to the board that we not issue that permit, given there is no way for that group, the way they operate, to socially distance. There's no physical way. And that brings a lot of people. So That's my recommendation. That's after talking with Ron and Chad. Actually, Ron, I'm not sure Chad, but I believe I did. It just, it would go with everything else that's going on. It's not going to be popular, but there's no physical way to control. And again, the control of it would be put on the town, and it would require, just, I can't see how it would work.
What is the lead time that they need to know?
They're,
I mean,
they're
I
not
know-
gonna, they called last Friday, and I'm surprised we didn't get a call today.
Well, if they want to know right now what our decision is, it's based on the governor's orders right now. And that's no, we absolutely can't have it because you can't more than 10 people. However,
frankly,
if they
and I-
have,
yeah.
if they want to lengthen their lead time a little bit and the governor's order change and in mid-July he says, oh, free for all, everybody can do anything, then our decision may be different. But if they want an answer right now, we have no choice but to say no.
Yeah, I think, again, I was gonna call Meredith, and Castleberry's has, that big crafts fair they have there are the same group. I was trying to get a sense of what's happening in other places, but and I think Ron's, he can chime in, but there's no way that, for those of us that had to take our wives to these crafts fairs and attend, that there's no way you're gonna keep people 6 feet apart. And more or less, even the tents, I mean, they cram them in, the tents are literally touching each other to get in. And so it's, I sadly say it's just not gonna, I don't think it's gonna fit.
Right.
Obviously, we could watch, and Ron, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I think that the AG's office said that, like, yard sales and similar to like this craft fair would have to follow the retail guidance. It would be at a 50% capacity with social distancing and no groups more than 10. So they would have to reduce their size by 50%. And then they would have to have the tent spacing to accommodate the social distancing. And I can't speak to what their model is for them make a break even. But right now, until the governor changes things, I wouldn't recommend trying to hold it. If she needed an answer this week until the guidance changes, I'd just how we manage it,
I agree. If they need an answer today, from me, it has to be a no, based on today's guidelines.
So I'm gonna deny the permit until further notice, or until the governor's orders significantly change. Or naturally, it'll be the orders governing yard sales, and I believe they mentioned craft sales in that same order.
but yeah, it'd fall into the retail guidance. Yeah.
Retail guidance. So
Need an OJ?
that would be a consistent.
Yeah, I don't see that we have much of a choice here. I mean, we would have to enforce the retail guidance, and that's going to make it, I mean, how would we measure 50%? 50% of what? Would it be 50% of the tents? And would it be 50% of last year's attendance? And how do you rate? Because people come into that from all sides. It's not like a store. You open the door and everybody's going through the door and you count people.
Well, and in the retail guidance, you've seen the Price Chopper and other major retailers, they have one-way aisles and, and all this. I don't see how you could do it in a parking lot, when you can enter from 360 degrees, coming at all different angles.
I guess if they came up with a compliant plan that included like snow fencing around the whole thing, one way in, one way out, markers on the ground, half the number of tents, tell us how many they're going to limit the attendance.
Crowd.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see that as being practical. So I would say my answer is no, unless they can present to us some awesome plan that makes sense and is compliant. But I just don't
And it
see
would
that
need to be
reality.
reviewed by Chad and myself.
Right.
Definitely, you both would.
The other thing, and now when they first started coming here, they had they were in a parking lot that at the time wasn't very busy. Now the shops down there and One Love that parking lot is for regular business now, so their space has gotten smaller. It has to be open for traffic to those businesses. So it's even tougher for them in that location.
And the other thing, and I'm kind of throwing it out there, that these executive orders basically promote it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission, because it's educate, educate, educate. Then the enforcement action happens. Well, it's a 3-day event. So you go there on day one, you educate, you go there on Saturday, you educate, and Sunday, they're out of here.
Down, yeah.
So, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Things are changing. So if they can exercise some patience, if their first one isn't until August, I'm not sure the exact when they are, check back with us in July and see where we're at with things.
Yeah. And again, I would present it as the answer is no, unless you can come forward with a compliant plan.
Put the
And
burden
I
on.
would say,
Yeah. I don't,
whatever their time restriction is, because they have to let all these vendors know and pull advertising or make advertising, whatever. I'd kind of push it back onto them, but we're going to be very, very hesitant unless they come forward with a plan that makes sense and is compliant.
I
I mean,
agree.
we have two very large groups, Highland Games and Brewfest, that I can almost guarantee you looked at this every way but Sundays to see if they could make it work, and they couldn't make it work under the guidance. So Canterbury is no different. So anyway, we'll do that, and we'll go from
I
there.
agree. There's not enough room over there anymore.
So having said that,
Shared space also, you have, a couple of businesses that use that parking lot also.
yeah. That's, I think, all I got. Yeah. Other than we should just quickly go into non-public, and it's on a potential legal issue.
Right.
Oh, I have one question just before, which I've heard rumblings and as far as LUPOs, are they being sent out? I haven't seen any lately, but Carol's getting those sent out to people. Are we still having people apply for them, or how is that working out?
Plenty of people applying, and there's about a 4 to 6 week backlog to get them out. She's swamped, and she's dealing with some family issues, and we're doing our best. I was on the phone 3 times today explaining that to folks.
Okay.
It's everybody. It seems like everybody took the COVID-19 situation to take vacation and build houses and remodel kitchens, and we're swamped. So the turning around time is 3 to 5 weeks. Once it comes in approved, and most of the time she's sending these back 2 and 3 times because they don't give her all the info. So, and that with some personal issues, we're backed up. So put that out to the public. We're doing our best. Ron and I are going to grab some of them, and we're going to see if we can't speed up some of the loopholes and get them out to folks. But it's a 1 1.25 person department, and we're doing the best we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we go on to the fees, there's some numerous public comments. If you want.
David's still here online. Do you want to ask him first?
David, do you have anything you wanted to speak to the board about?
Remember, he doesn't have a microphone.
Okay.
Can he phone? Isn't he on a telephone?
Can you chat with him, Ron? There's a chat button on your Zoom there.
Yeah. From David, no microphone.
Okay.
Can you text back to him or type back in it? Does he have any questions? In the meantime, do you want me to read some of the ones that came in from Paul?
Sure.
All right, first one. Can you explain why we are still in violation of the filtration disinfection process portion of the recent water report, especially given the recent investments in water storage tank circulators and the installation of new media in the treatment plant filters?
I didn't know we were.
I didn't know
It
we
came
were
with your
either.
tax bill.
Yeah, it came with the tax bill
I
and
haven't opened it.
the violation was from, I forget which quarter.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me either.
No, I left it in the car.
I don't have
Butch,
an answer
can you,
to that.
Butch, can you get back to Paul with an answer on that,
Yeah,
please?
I'll have
Through
Nate
email?
or David talk to him. Probably
Thank you
Nate.
very much. Yeah,
Yep.
Nate, that would be a good idea. Thank you. His next one is just to mention Loon Mountain has closed all parking and access to the river from their parking lots. We already talked about that one earlier. The next one, is there any problems with people swimming at any of the other town swimming holes like Old Hole Gravity or Boys Bathtub? Who looks to see if people are doing what they should be as far as distancing at these places? I think we kind of covered that.
Yeah, and
That email might have come in mid discussion because I feel like we covered that. So
Hey,
moving to the next one.
Where's the boys' tub?
I don't know.
I'm hearing that. I didn't even know we had one.
Isn't it between Gravity and Ladies, right?
A what? Oh, boys.
Boys, yeah.
It's down by the bridge. I couldn't say that.
All right, the next one, if you close Ladies Bathtub and people go there, would it not be like Loon closing their access river and people still going to the river there? It would be at their own personal risk.
It's at their own personal risk.
Anyway,
Regardless.
right. All right, his next one, just FYI, there are 2 points of access to Old Hole and Boys Bathtub from South Mountain parking lot, although that too is closed off. Thank you.
There's one legal
access.
owned access to Old Hole.
Yeah.
There's numerous other access points across
Right.
private land.
Right.
Go ahead.
And your car gets towed if you park there, even if your husband has a tow truck. The next one is, can the state COVID money that Butch brought up be used for the purchase of the closed caption hearing purchase of equipment? I believe we talked about that once already and it does not qualify.
No, I did check with legal on that, both
Yeah.
with NHMA, and that's something that should have been in place before COVID.
Right, it doesn't qualify.
A good point. That money can be used to buy signs to put up at Ladies Bathtub to adhere to COVID-19 regulations.
Correct.
There you go.
Yep. That's true.
Great. His next one is, if you do not use closed caption and do not broadcast meetings so people come to meetings, you will then have to have sign language person at all meetings to meet requirement. Okay.
Okay.
Next one. Why do we need other access from Pollard Road to Main Street when we have one already from Pollard Road to Main Street between Nordic and Main Street?
That would be appropriate comment to have when we have a public hearing on this issue.
Agreed. Agreed. Next one. We taxpayers pay to have access to town hall, which our tax dollars pay for. You have plexiglass in front of all windows to public. Surely the staff will be observing proper social protocol. Why, when post office, grocery stores, pharmacy, and local restaurants are open, cannot our publicly paid for town hall be open with all necessary staff present? Paul. I'm not answering that one. Anyone
No,
else?
We just discussed it and he heard it. He doesn't
Yep.
agree with us, but that's
okay. The
Next.
next one. So if you are concerned about fair being held and observing social distancing, how can Lincoln truly host a 4th of July parade, giving the close contact with people observing the parade? Paul, I would encourage you to log on to tomorrow night's meeting, 5 o'clock, Town of Woodstock. It's on their website how to do that. And let me just check. I don't think there are any more. I think that was the last one from Paul. Did David have anything, Ron?
No comments, and the violation was, whoops, hold on.
Oh, that's right. David would know that. Thank you, David.
No comments, and the violation was first quarter of 2019, and we are we have been in compliance since then and still are in compliance. If he reads the report, it says that.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate that.
Thank you,
So,
Dave.
so Butch, you're gonna have to have Nate get a hold of Paul now because his question has been answered.
Yeah.
Dave, we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Thanks, David. All right, I'm gonna make a motion that
Wait a
we.
minute, Ron, can you just ask Jane if anything else has come in the meantime?
Nothing's come in.
Great. Go ahead, OJ.
I'm gonna make a motion that we go into non-public to talk about the letter we got from an attorney regarding building permits, a land use.
Legal. I'll
Legal.
second. I'll
Legal.
second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Now, we're not coming back on to adjourn, so Jane's good. Thank you, Jane Leslie, for being awesome.
We didn't do the fee structure. Can I make a suggestion?
Next week?
I have gone through the fee structure, and there's things that I either want to change or don't like and want to discuss again, or Carol had left in red because we didn't adequately
Okay.
relay what we wanted there, and I've made suggestions for those. I'm going to send out I'll send out the old form as we got it, and I'm going to send out the changes that I made, and everything I made is going to be highlighted and noted, like what
And
I
we'll discuss it next week.
and I'll send that out to everybody, and we can talk about it next week.
I'm fine with that.
That way you have a chance to look at it and disagree, agree, whatever, and line up
Perfect.
questions, and we can talk about it more efficiently.
Cool. Thank you, OJ.
All right?
Thank you. Can I take a minute break?
Did you do all in favor?
No, I didn't.
Motion second. There was
Let's
no
do
all
this
in favor.
first, Jane. Motion to go into non-public for a legal discussion.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. And
Okay,
yeah, we can take a break.